Ex-husband that he met up with prostitutes at Olive Garden to talk. Ex-fiancé fabricated a lie about another man he was jealous of on my ig, reaching out to him to say we were hooking up. This ex of mine was a legit sociopath and super paranoid. I knew it was a lie because I had only met other guy once, never talked to him again, and I contacted the other guy and said he never talked to my. I wouldn't let him in my house, as I was scared of him after we broke up because he married a woman while we were together, or maybe I was the other woman. Who knows, and started getting violent when I found out and broke it off. He told me his hand was cut off at work, and all he wanted was a painkiller from me. I had some from an old injury. I said no for about 20 minutes, and then he started crying. I let him in like an idiot, and he pulls his hand that was supposedly cut off out of his sweatshirt, and he assaulted me for hours. After that, I got a restraining order and never saw him again until I saw him on the news in a car chase after pretending to be he was a self-proclaimed photographer who did an artsy nude shoot with a girl he obviously liked. I didn't know we were newly married, and I was working part-time and going to school full-time. I found the pictures and confronted him. He lied about it at first, saying she was wearing a bra despite me literally having eyeballs and seeing this was just straight-up soft porn. When I asked why he didn't tell me about this artsy shoot, "You didn't ask. The thing is, had he said something prior, I might be been cool with it. I'm not against art and capturing that in different styles. This was not that." He also tried to convince me that his best friend was there to help, because apparently it takes two men to hold a camera. Found out after we were married that he had never thought my family dog was cute, and when I'd said, "Isn't she cute?" he lied every time. Took me weeks to recover. I can't see him or the dog the same way. Pretended to be on a trip to Europe to visit his parents. I got suspicious when he would turn his phone off after 5 p.m. and wasn't available at all on the weekend. I waited at his job 4 hours because I saw his car there. Sure enough, he was at work. Turns out he wasn't in Europe. He was going home to his wife and kid after work that I had no clue about. After asking my then spouse how long had been seeing the woman, he moved into our house and decorated a room for her child without telling me or even his own family, after finding her hiding upstairs in a shower when I was getting some of my things. He had since we got divorced. I reminded him we were still married. Yeah. We had been separated maybe 6 weeks. He was also engaged to this woman and no one knew. I found out the same day when I found the ring receipt and empty box when getting my passport from our safe. But I mean, I guess I can appreciate the fact my ring cost more than 3 times what hers did. It's the little things, and no, I'm not okay. This was just when my ex-husband spent $5,000 on a work weekend in Tampa. It was all towards skydiving. Yeah, I skydived his ass. I hacked his email and found everything out, divorced in 2 months. His family was in town, and at 9:30 in the morning he left to go to the gym and stop by work. He disappears all day until 6. Ish not responding to text or calls while I entertained his annoying family. Still to this day, 9-ish years later, he has no idea what happened. He has never said and sort of apologizes when it comes up. Obviously, my position is infidelity. He's not a liar, so keeping it vague and whatever probably feels best for him. Nothing like this has happened. While my ex had just bought another car, he had no money, so I was pissed he got into debt again for a car. He told me about the car over dinner. I asked how he afforded that. He said he won $20,000 in the lottery. But don't tell his mom or sister he lived with them, or they'd want money, and he didn't want to give them any, even though they helped him and his daughter a lot financially over the years. The check came, it was about 50, and we were gonna split it like usual. I told him, if you just won the lottery, then why can't you pay for it? Years later, after we'd broken up and he was trying to get back together, he admitted that of course he never gaslit and lied to me about maintaining his sobriety. Couldn't hold down a job and stole thousands and thousands from me, claiming he was paying the bills and mortgage while I was the only one working, while leaving me with 50 week for gas and diapers for our youngest. Kicked him out at the beginning of February. That he was deeply depressed and suicidal after I asked why he forgot after 12 years together my 40th birthday. Like, not a word. Turns out he was covering for his cheating. with a whole smorgasbord of people on Grindr within a 40-mile radius for the pass-by, the time I finally winkled the truth out of him, Nineminus 10 months. Not always with protection. So that made my 40th birthday seem like fun. For some reason, he lied about studying abroad when we met. He would even talk about his classes and things he did while living there. Months later, I mentioned it while introducing him to my family. He seemed embarrassed to talk about it, but shared the same anecdotes. Later, he told me privately that he had made it all up to seem more interesting and have something in common with me. At the time, I found that sweet and sort of heartbreaking. Looking back, it was the first in a long and escalating string of lying to make himself look good and expecting me. I found a used tampon opened at the top of the cabinet above our toilet. Thought it was a funny moment, so walked out of the bathroom and asked if he used one and threw it above our toilet while laughing. He got so serious and said I had a nosebleed. The tampon was slimy, not with blood. Not a speck of blood on that thing. And then it was on the cabinet above our toilet, like he tried to hide it. He then started crying about how unfair I was being making him feel ashamed. Years later, I know he 100 put it in his ass with the help of some. My ex-husband would buy big-ticket items and swear that we had discussed it and I had agreed to the purchase. He was so convincing that I seriously started to doubt my memory and spoke to Drs about it and even ended up seeing a neurologist. I was quite young, early 20s, and was pretty trusting. It was only when he tried to do it to someone else, and they weren't having any of it, that I figured it out. I caught my ex trying to hook up with men on Craigslist. He told me he wasn't going to hook up with them, that he was finding gay men to rob. I just what? I think the hooking up would be easier to deal with. Right. I just looked at him and asked him if he thought that was a better option. I think the hooking up would be easier to deal with. Right. I just looked at him and asked him if he thought that was a better option. That he had a work dinner. One night I was staying the night, and I could just let myself in and hang out until he got back. The truth was, we lived 3 hours apart, but my office was close to him. I was gonna stay up there Monday Wednesday. I had suspicions he was not being faithful, and sure enough he matched with a fake profile. Was gonna meet her about 1.5 hours on Tuesday from his place, at a fancy restaurant on the water. Then I found out 90 of everything he said was lies. That I was the cause of financial issues, despite contributing to our joint bills. Turns out he spent more than $250,000 of joint assets on camgirls and in a couple years. He also fraudulently drained my retirement account to do this. Yes, he was controlling and the marriage wasn't short, so I had trusted him after a certain amount of time. There were other extenuating circumstances. We were living abroad at the time, so I didn't see certain things in the mail. They were being sent to a PO box. I can't say a huge amount because legal cases lied to me 4 months that there wasn't someone else. Intuition told me otherwise, and I cornered him to get the truth. Turns out, not only had he been seeing someone 4 months, but she was pregnant. All of this came out right before a Winston-Lafittem trip abroad with our son. Something I always dreamed of was completely marred by that betrayal. My ex-husband lied to me about having kids. I wanted kids and it was important to me. We talked about it a lot before marriage because I didn't want to end up in a marriage with someone who didn't want kids. We got married and guess what? He didn't want kids and hoped to change my mind. Went so far as to make plans to talk about having kids and would never follow through. Talked about getting a vasectomy and pushing me down flights of stairs if I ever got pregnant. We divorced because he was also an abusive prick. Now has remarried with a kid. Ex-BF, he said he was spending the weekend at Boy Scout camp. He had been doing this for probably 15 years. Instead, he went to meet a woman that he hadn't seen in 40 years but had reconnected with her on Facebook. They spent the week together in a cabin.